Hi everybody, it's Miss Talhami.
And Miss Murphy.
And today we're going to be focusing on writing the equation of a line given points, the slope, and or the y-intercept. So let's first take a look at this do now. It says find the slope of the line that passes through the points -3, -4, and 5, 4. So if you remember to find the slope, that was one of our previous lessons. The equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's label these points. And let's find the slope. Don't forget to make sure to bring that sign for that -4. And the same thing with that -3. 4 minus -4, minus a negative is plus, so that's 8. And 5 minus -3, that's also a plus, so that's also 8. And we always reduce, if possible, 8 over 8, which the calculator can do for you, or you could do in your head, is equivalent to 1 over 1, which is the same thing as just 1. Okay, great. So what are we doing today, Miss Murphy?
So today we are going to write the equation of a line. Sometimes we're given different types of information. Sometimes we're given a point or a slope. Sometimes we're given the y-intercept. We have to incorporate that information into the equation of a line in its proper form. So if you recall, the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. It's really plus or minus b, because sometimes the y-intercept is negative, but we call it y equals mx plus b. Two parts of a line. Think in your head, what are they? The m, I like to refer to as the mountain slope. The m is the slope. We've discussed different types of slopes. We have positive slopes, negative slopes, undefined slopes, and zero slopes. And it's just how the lines lean, like a mountain. Remember, zero slope is flat, it's no fun. Undefined is straight up and down vertically. Great. Now we have the second part of our equation of the line, and that's the b. It's where you begin when you go to graph the equation. You begin on the y-intercept. On the y-axis, I should say. That's called your y-intercept, but you begin graphing on the y-axis. So those are your two parts of a line. All right, so let's move down and try this. So for each graph, let's label on the side our m and our b. Our m is our mountain slope, and we can find the slope a couple of different ways. I like to use rise over run as a quick way to count my slope. Or we could have just used the formula like Mrs. Talhami just showed you, the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 if we pulled off 2 points of the line. But I think it's easier here just to do rise over run. So we're going to look at that purple line and find a point that's right in the middle of 4 boxes. Mrs. Talhami picked that one, that little blue point. And now we're going to let's travel up that line and find another box point that's right in the middle of the 4 boxes. All right, so remember when you rise, you're going up like a hot air balloon. And we never count where we are. We count the first hop. So we hopped up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to run across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 is the rise. 6 is the run. And I look at that and I say to myself, I can reduce that slope. I can divide the numerator and denominator by 2, getting a 4 over 3. I'm just curious, Mrs. Talhami, if we were to have risen 4 and ran 3, would we have still landed on the line? Let's go back to that first point that you picked, and let's try to rise 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and run 3. 1, 2, 3. Aha, look at that. We still would be on the line, showing you that 8 over 6 and 4 over 3 are the same slopes for this line. Great. And so now we need our B, our y-intercept. So we're going to look at the y-axis. Where does this purple line hit the y-axis? Right there at 1. That's your y-intercept. That's your B. So your B is 1. Lastly, let's just take that information and replace it into the equation of a line. Y equals mx plus b. We're going to replace the m with 4/3. Sticking the x next to it. Lots of students forget about that little x. And it's plus 1 because it's a positive 1. And there you have it, the equation of a line given a graph. Take a minute and look at question number 2. We're going to give you a minute. You can pause your video here and see if you could find your M, rise over run. See if you can find your B, your y-intercept. I want you to notice something different about this slope. Ask yourself, should your M be a positive or a negative number? Is your slope positive or negative? See you in a minute. Okay, so let's do this again. M equals rise over run. Picking any 2 points on this graph. We're only picking points that are really in the middle of 4 boxes. Okay. So we're going to start with the lower so that we can rise. We're going to start with the lower point. We're going to rise 1 and run to the left 2. And when I look at this whole purple line, I realize that this is a negative slope. It's going downhill. So my slope is a negative slope, and it's 1 over 2. The whole slope is negative. It doesn't matter where you put the negative.
Miss Murphy?
Yes.
Is another indication because we had to go to the left, that's why this slope is also negative?
Yes, it is. When you run to the left, you're running in a negative direction.
Cool.
Now we ask ourselves, where did this purple line intersect the y-axis? All the way down there at -3. That's our y-intercept, our B. There you have it. So our final equation, when we substitute in for the m and the b, is y equals -1/2 x minus 3. Try not to put a plus -3. It's just a -3. There you have it. So now you can look at a graph and write the equation of a line given a graph. Let's move on down.
What if we're not given a graph?
So this time they give us different types of information. They give us a point and they give us the slope. And we know that the slope is our m. So we actually can start right away with something that we know. Y equals, let's write the equation of the line. 2x,
Oh, sorry.
no, that's nice. It's good to be thorough. 2x plus b. That's what we have so far. But they do give us another piece of information, a point. And I think everybody knows that a point has two coordinates. One is our x value and one is our y value. And if you look at the equation of the line, you see an x and you see a y in that. So let's replace the x with a 1 and the y with a 0. Be careful not to put those two backwards. I've seen that happen. Have you, Ms. Talhami, where the student puts a 1 and a 0?
I definitely have. That's why I like to label it up here, that this one's the X and this one's the Y, so I try not to get confused.
Yes. Okay, so now let's solve for b. 0 equals 2 times 1 is 2 plus b. To get b by itself, we subtract 2 from both sides. Therefore, b equals a negative 2. We have both pieces of information to write a complete equation of the line. Y equals 2x minus 2. Y equals mx plus or minus b. Excellent. And you see B and C are two more opportunities for you to practice how to write the equation of a line if you are given a slope and a point. So you can try those and then look at the posted answer key to see if you did them correctly. All right, let's try it. D. This time they give us a point and the y-intercept.
So the y-intercept is which letter of the equation?
B.
Wonderful. So when I write y equals mx plus b, I could write y equals mx, and this is a positive 5. So
Excellent.
what are we missing here?
So just like we did before, we're going to replace the x and the y with a negative 4 and a negative 1. So we're still using substitution, but just solving for the m this time. Let's take a look at what we have. I like to rewrite that as negative 4m.
Me too.
Then it's more recognizable. And I can solve for m. Subtracting 5 from both sides. Now we can get divorced, right? We can divide both sides by the negative 4. Leaving us with, let's take a look at this. We have a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And we have 6 over 4, which we know we can reduce by 2's to 3 over 2. If you put 6 over 4 as your slope, it's not that you would get it marked incorrect. It's just that you really always want to reduce a fraction when you can. You would typically see that in reduced form. And that's it. And again, you have 2 more practice examples for you to try on your own and compare with the answer key that's provided. So you really make sure you have these skills in place before you try doing Castle Learning. All right, G. G now gives us 2 points. They don't give us the slope. They don't give us the y-intercept. We have to find those on our own.
So we don't have M or B here? Oh no, with 2 points, which one can we find though, Miss Murphy?
We can find the slope with 2 points using the slope formula that we started our do now with. taking the time to be neat and organized, labeling our points so as not to make errors. Math is really about being consistent and thoughtful, thorough, taking the time to write it out properly. Okay, 7 minus 3 is 4. Negative 3 minus 3 is a negative 6. We can reduce this fraction by 2's. The whole slope is negative 2 over 3. Okay. So we have that piece of information. We have our m now. So let's replace the m, negative 2 over 3. And just like we've done in the other examples, we're going to replace our x and our y. Now, how do I know which x and which y to pick? Well, I say, pick a point and plug it in.
Doesn't matter?
Pick a point. Doesn't matter. You just pick a point. I like to pick points that don't have negatives, so I want to pick the first point, a 3 and a 3.
Do we know why it doesn't matter?
Well, you want me to answer that?
It's a good question.
I miss having the class being able to answer, but
Me too.
I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Mrs. Talhami asked, why doesn't it matter which point we pick? I bet I can hear someone thinking out there saying, because both those points pass through the line. They're both on the line. Therefore, it doesn't matter which one we pick. All right, so 3 equals negative 2/3 times 3. Always using parentheses when we substitute. Let's get b by itself. Ugh, a fraction. What is negative 2/3 times 3? It's a negative 2. Don't forget you can use alpha y equals on your calculator if you have a hard time with that. And we get b equals a 5. So now we have the 2 parts of the line that we need to write the final equation. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5. Use what you have. That's what I've been saying to myself, Mrs. Talhami, during this epidemic. I use what I have. I look in my cabinets in my refrigerator, and I've been making all kinds of new recipes using what I have.
And again, there's 2 more questions. You can complete them on your own and check the answer key on Schoology, as well as some additional practice problems on the bottom. So we will create an answer key and post it below at the end of this lesson. Great, so if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to myself or Miss Murphy, whether it's through Schoology, Remind, or through an email, and we'll be able to answer whatever questions you have. Good luck!
Do well. Give it your all.
Bye!
Bye.